I watched my 25th birthday cake slide off the table in slow motion, frosting splattering across my new dress as my younger sister Amber shrieked at the waiter. She had flipped our entire table because her pasta arrived 3 minutes after mine. While I sat there, covered in buttercream and humiliation, my mother chased after Amber into the parking lot. My father sighed and looked at me with those tired eyes. "You know how your sister gets. Just let it go. Can't you be the mature one for once?" I drove home alone that night, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Red velvet cake was smeared down the front of my dress, the one I had saved up for specifically for tonight. The fabric was ruined, just like the evening, just like always. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway of our 4-bedroom colonial in suburban Ohio. My parents would not be home for at least another hour. They would be at Amber's favorite ice cream shop, soothing her, telling her everything was okay, probably buying her whatever she wanted to make up for the trauma of having to wait an extra 3 minutes for her meal. I walked upstairs to my bedroom, the same room I had lived in since I was 6 years old. At 25, I should have had my own place by now. But I stayed to help out. That's what they always said. Hattie stays to help out. Hattie is so responsible. Hattie is so mature. I peeled off the cake-covered dress and threw it in the corner. It was not worth trying to save. I sat on my bed in my underwear and stared at the wall, and something inside me finally cracked open. This was not the first time. My high school graduation. I had been valedictorian, worked 4 years for that honor. 10 minutes into the ceremony, Amber had a panic attack. We left early. I never got to give my speech. My college acceptance to Northwestern. Full scholarship. The day I opened the letter, Amber announced she was dropping out of community college. My parents spent the entire evening consoling her about her failed academic journey. Nobody asked about mine. My first job promotion last year, project coordinator to senior project coordinator at the marketing firm downtown. I had worked 60-hour weeks for that title. The night I planned to celebrate, Amber got sick. Food poisoning, she claimed. I canceled my dinner reservations to bring her soup and ginger ale. The next day, I saw her Instagram photos from that same night, partying at some club. Every milestone, every achievement, every moment that should have been mine, stolen. I opened my laptop, needing to distract myself from the rage building in my chest. My bank account stared back at me. I had been living at home to save money. That is what I told people. That is what I told myself. But the numbers did not lie. I pulled up my transaction history, grocery bills, utility payments, car insurance, Amber's car payment, Amber's credit card bills, Amber's therapy co-pays, Amber's art supplies, Amber's photography equipment, Amber's business venture deposits. My fingers flew across the keyboard, opening spreadsheet after spreadsheet. I tracked back 3 years to when I had first started my job and moved back home after college. $47,312. That is how much I had contributed to this household in 3 years. I stared at the number until my eyes burned. $47,000. While my parents funded Amber's journey to find herself. While Amber tried and quit 5 different hobbies. While Amber started 2 businesses that collapsed within months. While Amber shopped and spent and lived like a trust fund child. I opened my email, searching for a specific keyword, Amber. The messages loaded, hundreds of them. Hattie, can you pick up Amber from Jessica's house? We are at dinner. Amber needs $400 for her photography course. Can you cover it? The electric bill is high this month. Can you pay it? We are helping Amber with her business costs. Amber's therapy appointments are expensive. Can you chip in $200? Amber's car payment is due. You said you would handle it this month. Every email a demand. Every message an expectation. Every word taking it for granted that I would say yes. I dug deeper. I found an email thread between my parents from 6 months ago. They had accidentally included me on the chain before removing me from the conversation, but I had already received the first message. I clicked through to read the full thread. My father, Hattie's raise came through. She is making $68,000 now. My mother. That is wonderful. Maybe we can finally redo the kitchen. My father. As long as she keeps covering the utilities and helping with Amber's expenses, we can focus our retirement savings. We are very lucky she is so responsible. My mother. She will always be there. She is too nice to say no. Besides, where would she even go? I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. Where would she even go? Too nice to say no. She will always be there. They were not grateful. They were not appreciative. They were calculating. I was a financial resource to them, nothing more. A safety net they assumed would never disappear. I thought about my college boyfriend, Trevor. We had dated for 2 years before he finally left. I remember his last words to me. I cannot compete with your family's constant emergencies. Every time we plan something, you cancel. Every time we have a moment, your phone rings and you run. I need a partner, not someone who is perpetually unavailable. The emergencies were always Amber. Amber needed a ride. Amber had a crisis. Amber was lonely. Amber, Amber, Amber. Amber. My friends stopped inviting me to things 2 years ago. At first they understood. Family comes first, they said. But after the 10th canceled brunch, the 15th missed birthday party, the 20th rain check, they stopped calling. I did not blame them. I would have stopped calling me too. I sat in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by participation trophies and high school awards and college memorabilia, and realized I did not have a life. I had an existence. I existed to serve my family, to fund my sister's endless journey of self-discovery, to be the mature one, the responsible one, the one who always let it go. At 2 in the morning, sitting in the dark with my laptop glowing in front of me, I made a decision. I was leaving. But I was not going to do it their way. I was not going to have a dramatic confrontation. I was not going to give them the chance to guilt me or manipulate me or promise to change. I was not going to leave a note explaining myself or trying to make them understand. I was going to disappear, and I was going to watch what happened when their safety net vanished. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Amber is very upset about tonight. Can you apologize to her tomorrow? You know how sensitive she is. Also, can you cover her credit card payment this month? It is $1,500. Thanks, honey. I stared at the message for a full minute. They expected me to apologize. After my sister ruined my birthday, after she threw a tantrum over pasta timing, after she destroyed my cake and humiliated me in public, they expected Emmy to apologize, and they expected me to pay another $1,500. I did not respond. I opened a new browser tab and typed, "Apartments for rent near me." The search results loaded. I clicked on the first listing and started reading. My hands were steady now. The rage had crystallized into something cold and focused. Determination. I was done being the doormat. I was done being the family ATM. I was done sacrificing my life for people who saw me as a resource instead of a daughter. I was done. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a woman with a mission. During the day, I smiled and played my role perfectly. At night, I plotted my escape with military precision. I found the apartment on day 3. A studio on the other side of town, 45 minutes from my parents' house. Small, but mine. The landlord did a credit check, called my references, and approved my application within 48 hours. I signed the lease using my work address as the mailing location. I paid the first month's rent and security deposit from my secret savings account. The secret savings account my parents knew nothing about. I had opened it 6 months ago, when I first started to feel the resentment building. I had been funneling money into it quietly, pretending to be broke whenever my parents asked for extra contributions. It had grown to $12,000, enough to start over. I opened a new bank account at a different institution. I changed my direct deposit at work, routing my entire paycheck to the new account. I left exactly $50 in my old account, the one my parents could see as a beneficiary. Let them watch it stay empty. I went to the phone store and set up a new phone plan under my own name. New number, new phone. I transferred only my work contacts and my real friends, the 3 who had stuck by me: Jessica, Lauren, and Emma. At home, I acted completely normal, better than normal. I was cheerful, helpful, compliant. My mother asked me to cover Amber's photography course. $2,000 for a 6-week class taught by some Instagram influencer who promised to teach Amber how to monetize her passion. I smiled and said, of course. I never transferred the money. Amber did not even thank me. She just complained that I had ruined her birthday dinner with my negative energy. Apparently, my presence covered in cake had created bad vibes. I took 3 vacation days from work, plus a weekend, telling my boss I needed a mental health break. She approved immediately, probably noticing the dark circles under my eyes from the past 3 years of stress. I told my parents I was going on a mandatory work retreat for 5 days. Team-building exercises upstate. I would be unreachable due to limited cell service. My father barely looked up from his newspaper. Okay, leave money for the mortgage contribution before you go. We need it by Friday. $1,800. My monthly mortgage contribution for a house I did not own and would never inherit. They had made that clear when they updated their will last year. The house would go to Amber. Because Amber was sensitive and would need the stability. Sure, I said. I will transfer it Thursday night. I never transferred it. Wednesday morning arrived cloudy and cool. My parents left for work at 7:30. Amber did not wake up until noon on a good day. I called in sick to work, then rented a moving truck from a place across town where nobody would recognize me. I pulled the truck into the driveway at 8:15 and got to work. I moved fast. 3 years of belongings, packed and loaded in under 5 hours. My furniture from my bedroom, my clothes, every single item. My books, my kitchen supplies I had bought for the family but were technically mine. My television, my laptop, my artwork, my photos in frames I had purchased. I left behind anything my parents had given me. The dresser they bought when I was 12. The desk from high school. The lamp from college graduation. If they paid for it, it stayed. What I took, I had earned. I cleaned my room until it looked like nobody had ever lived there. I vacuumed. I dusted. I removed every trace of my existence from that space. In the home office, I opened the household budget spreadsheet my father kept meticulously updated. There was my name, listed as contributing $1,800 per month. I scrolled to the future months and deleted my name from every single entry. I did not remove the amounts. I wanted them to see the gap. I wanted them to understand what they were losing. I took my house key off my keychain. I left it sitting on the empty dresser in my vacant room. I took one last walk through the house. The living room where I had spent countless evenings babysitting Amber. The kitchen where I had cooked hundreds of meals. The bathroom where I had listened to Amber's hour-long showers while paying the water bill. I felt nothing. No sadness. No nostalgia. Just relief. I got in the moving truck and drove away at 1:45 in the afternoon. I did not look back at the house. I looked forward, at the road ahead, at my future. My old phone sat on the passenger seat. I had kept it active just to monitor their attempts to reach me. I wanted to see the panic. I wanted to witness the realization. I moved everything into my new studio apartment by 5 o'clock. The space was small but bright, with large windows and hardwood floors. I set up my bed, arranged my furniture, hung my clothes in the closet. It was mine, every inch of it. Nobody could take it from me. Nobody could demand I give it up for someone else's comfort. At 6:30, I sat on my couch and ordered Chinese food delivery, sweet and sour chicken, vegetable lo mein, spring rolls, my favorites. Nobody was there to complain about the smell or demand I order something different because Amber was on a new diet. I ate slowly, savoring every bite. At 7:15, my old phone lit up. A credit card notification. A charge of $3,200 at a luxury boutique downtown. Amber had gone shopping. I opened the banking app and looked at the pending charge. She had used the credit card I had given her access to months ago. The one I always paid off. The one she maxed out regularly without a second thought. I smiled and clicked through the menu options. Cancel card. Are you sure? Yes. Confirm. The card declined instantly. I blocked the old phone number from accessing the account. I removed all authorized users. I changed the passwords. My old phone started ringing within 90 seconds. Amber calling. I watched it ring. 5 times. 6, 7. Then it stopped. Voicemail. Then my mother calling. I let it ring. Voicemail. Then my father calling. Voicemail. Then Amber again. My mother again. My father again. Back to back, non-stop. I powered off the old phone completely and put it in a drawer. I activated my new phone, new number, new life. I took myself to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. The woman staring back looked different somehow, lighter. Her shoulders were not hunched, her jaw was not clenched. For the first time in 3 years, I smiled at my own reflection and meant it. I walked back to my couch, opened my laptop, and started a new document. I titled it Fresh Start and began making a list of all the things I was going to do with my life now that it actually belonged to me. Outside my window, the sun was setting over a neighborhood I did not know yet, full of people who did not know me, who did not expect anything from me, who could not demand I sacrifice myself for their convenience. I was free, and I had never felt better. 3 days passed in blissful silence. I went to work. I came home. I cooked meals I actually wanted to eat. I watched television shows nobody complained about. I slept through the night without my phone ringing at 2 a.m. with an Amber emergency. I existed in peace. On Saturday morning, my friend Jessica called my new number. Hattie, oh my God, your family is losing their minds. Your mom called me crying. She wants to know if you are okay. I sipped my coffee, looking out my window at the street below. A woman walked her dog. A couple held hands. Normal people living normal lives. I am more than okay, I said. She said you disappeared, that your room is empty, that they are worried sick. Did she mention why I left? Jessica paused. She said you had some kind of breakdown after your birthday dinner, that Amber is devastated you abandoned her. I laughed. Actually laughed. Of course that is the story she is telling. What really happened? I told her everything. The $47,000. The emails. The conversation about me being too nice to say no. The credit card charges. The expectation that I would apologize for my own ruined birthday. Jessica was silent for a long moment. Holy shit. Yeah. They have been calling me non-stop. Your mom wants me to tell her where you are. She says your dad is sick, and they need you. My father is not sick. I called his office. He is fine. She is telling everyone you abandoned them without warning. That you took furniture that did not belong to you. Amber posted on Facebook about family betrayal. Let me guess. She made herself the victim. Completely. She has people commenting with support. Everyone thinks you are a monster. I should have felt angry. Instead, I felt calm. The truth will come out eventually. Your mom is asking if she can have your new number. Absolutely not. She says they need to talk to you. That there are bills they cannot pay without you. That is no longer my problem. Jessica sighed. I support you, Hattie. I just wanted you to know what is happening. They are telling anyone who will listen that you are selfish and cruel. Thanks for the heads up. And Jessica? Do not give them any information about me. Nothing. I would never. We hung up. I sat with my coffee and thought about my family spinning their narrative, rewriting history to make me the villain. It should have hurt. It did not. I went about my weekend. Grocery shopping, laundry. I bought plants for my apartment. I hung artwork on my walls. I made my space feel like home. Monday morning, I arrived at work to find my boss waiting by my desk. Hattie, can we talk in my office? My stomach dropped. Of course. She closed the door behind us. I got a very strange call on Friday. Someone claiming to be your mother called the main line asking for your contact information. When reception said we could not give that out, she demanded to speak to me. I am so sorry. She told me you had abandoned your family during a crisis, and that as your employer, I should know you are unstable and might not be reliable. Heat flooded my face. That is not true, I figured. Which is why I am telling you about it instead of believing it. But I need to know what is going on. Is everything okay? I explained the situation briefly. The financial exploitation, the unhealthy family dynamics, the harassment since I moved out. My boss listened carefully. Do you need any support from HR? We can document this as harassment if they contact the company again. That might be good. Yes. Consider it done. And Hattie? Good for you for getting out. That took courage. I went back to my desk feeling shaken but supported. At least my work was safe. That afternoon, Jessica texted me. "Your mom created a fake Facebook account. She is trying to message you." I blocked the account without responding. An hour later, "Now your dad is trying to reach you through LinkedIn." I blocked him too. My old phone, which I had left powered on in my apartment to monitor their attempts, had 73 missed calls and 41 voicemails. I did not listen to them. I just watched the numbers climb. Wednesday evening, Lauren called. "I need to tell you something. Your family is saying they might take legal action against you." "For what?" "They are claiming you owe them money. That you stole furniture. Your mom is telling people you lived there rent-free for years, and now you owe them for room and board." I almost laughed. Almost. I have 3 years of bank statements showing I contributed over $47,000 to that household. "I believe you. But they are talking to a lawyer apparently." "Let them." 2 days later, a certified letter arrived at my new apartment. My heart raced as I signed for it. They had found me. Probably through my workplace address in the employee directory. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. It was from a law office, Patterson and Associates. The letter claimed I owed my parents $50,000 for room and board during my time living at home as an adult. It stated that I had signed an informal agreement to contribute to the household and had breached that agreement by leaving. It demanded I return home to fulfill my family obligations or face legal action for reimbursement of living expenses. The letter also accused me of stealing furniture and personal property from the family home. I read it 3 times, my hands trembling with rage. They were trying to sue me. They were trying to legally force me back. The letter concluded with a deadline. I had 14 days to respond, or they would file suit. I sat on my couch, staring at the legal letterhead, and felt fear creep in for the first time since I left. What if they actually could do this? What if I had to go back? What if they could force me to pay them money I did not have? Then anger replaced the fear. No, I was not going back. I was not paying them a single dollar more. I grabbed my laptop and started searching for lawyers. Family law attorneys. I needed someone who could protect me. Someone who could fight back. I found a firm with good reviews and called first thing the next morning. I explained the situation to the receptionist. She put me through to an attorney named Patricia Wells. I told her everything. The financial contributions, the lack of formal rental agreement, the exploitation, the harassment, the threatening letter. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said something that changed everything. "Hattie, not only do you not owe them anything, but you might actually have a case against them." Hope bloomed in my chest. Really? Adult children living at home have no legal obligation to pay retroactive room and board, especially when contributions were voluntary and accepted as gifts rather than rent. You have documentation showing you paid far more than any reasonable rent would have been, and if they are harassing you, filing false police reports, attempting to sabotage your employment, that is actionable. What do I do? First, we send them a cease and desist. Then, if they persist, we consider a restraining order. And if you want, we can file a civil suit for the financial exploitation and emotional distress. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt powerful instead of afraid. Let's do it. Patricia worked fast. Within 3 days, she had drafted a comprehensive response to my parents' lawyer. She walked me through it over the phone. "I have included copies of your bank statements showing $47,300 in contributions over 3 years. I have documented that there was never a formal rental agreement or lease. I have noted that voluntary contributions cannot be retroactively claimed as debt. And I have pointed out that if they wish to pursue this legally, we are prepared to countersue for financial exploitation, harassment, and emotional distress." Will that work? Their lawyer will take one look at this and advise them to drop it. They have no case. You, on the other hand, have a very strong one. The cease and desist letter was sent via certified mail. I waited anxiously for their response. While I waited, I organized my evidence. Every text message requesting money, every email asking me to cover bills, every bank transfer, every credit card statement. 3 years of documentation, all categorized and dated. I made copies. I backed everything up to the cloud. I was ready for war. Jessica called with updates about the home front. It is getting bad over there. Your parents are 2 months behind on the mortgage. The electricity got shut off last week. They had to scramble to pay it. What about Amber? She got a job at a clothing store. Lasted 3 days. Quit because her manager asked her to fold sweaters. I felt no sympathy. She is 22 years old. She should have had a job years ago. Your dad's car broke down. They cannot afford to fix it. And apparently, the car Amber drove got repossessed. That would be the car I had been making payments on. The registration was in my name, but my father co-signed the original loan. When I stopped paying, they went after the vehicle. Good. A week after the cease and desist was sent, Patricia called with news. They dropped it. Their lawyer received our response and advised them to withdraw their claim. You will not hear from them legally anymore. Relief washed over me. Thank you. However, I want you to be careful. When people like this lose legal leverage, they sometimes escalate in other ways. She was right. 2 days later, my landlord called. Hattie, I received a very strange phone call. Someone claiming to be your mother said you are mentally unstable, that you have a history of theft, and that you might damage the property or skip out on rent. My blood ran cold. That is absolutely not true, I figured. You have been a perfect tenant. But I wanted to let you know someone is trying to sabotage you. Thank you for telling me. I immediately called Patricia and documented the incident. This is harassment. We need to file for a restraining order. Agreed. I will start the paperwork. But before we could file, things got worse. I was at work when my cell phone rang. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Is this Hattie Thompson? Yes. This is Officer Martinez with the police department. We have received a report that the vehicle registered in your name was stolen. A Brian Thompson called to report it missing. Can you verify your location and the location of the vehicle? My heart pounded. The vehicle is parked at my apartment complex. It is not stolen. It is my car. Can you provide proof of ownership? Yes. The registration and title are both in my name. My father co-signed the original loan years ago, but the car belongs to me. I have been making all payments. Can you come down to the station and bring that documentation? I left work immediately and drove to the police station, my hands shaking with rage. They were filing false police reports now. At the station, I showed the officer my registration, title, insurance documents, and payment history. Everything was in order. Officer Martinez looked uncomfortable. It appears your father made a false report. This is a civil matter between family members, not a criminal one. Can I file a report for harassment? Yes. I recommend you document everything. If this continues, you might want to pursue a restraining order. I filed a harassment report and drove back to work, my entire body trembling with anger and fear. They were not just trying to get me back anymore. They were trying to destroy my life. They wanted to ruin my housing, my job, my ability to function independently. They wanted to force me to come back by making it impossible for me to survive on my own. That evening, I called Patricia and told her everything. We are filing for the restraining order tomorrow, she said firmly. This has gone too far. I spent the night at my apartment feeling unsafe for the first time since I moved in. I kept checking the locks on my door, jumping at every sound in the hallway. The next morning, I discovered someone had created a fake review of my workplace online, claiming I had stolen money from clients and was under investigation. The review mentioned me by name. My boss called me into her office. Did you see this? Yes. It is completely false. My family is harassing me. We need to get this removed immediately. It is damaging to the company. I have a lawyer. We are filing for a restraining order today. Good. Keep me updated. And Hattie? Consider taking a few days off. This is clearly affecting you. I wanted to argue that I was fine, but I was not fine. I was exhausted, terrified, under siege. I took the rest of the week off. Patricia filed the restraining order paperwork. We would have a hearing in 2 weeks. I spent my days off trying to relax, but I could not. Every noise made me jump. Every phone call made my heart race. I was constantly waiting for the next attack. On Thursday, Jessica called. Your family is having a complete meltdown. Your mom keeps showing up at my house, begging me to tell her where you are. Your dad called my mom to try to get information. Amber is posting constantly about family betrayal. I am sorry they are dragging you into this. It is okay. I just wanted to warn you. I think they might try something else. Your mom seems desperate. Friday evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered carefully. Hattie Thompson? Yes? This is County General Hospital calling. Your father, Brian Thompson, was admitted this evening with a heart attack. He is asking for you. Can you come to the emergency department? My hands went numb. My father, a heart attack, asking for me. Despite everything, he was still my father. I grabbed my keys and drove to the hospital, my mind racing. What if he died? What if the last thing I ever said to him was nothing? I parked and ran into the emergency department, breathless. I am looking for Brian Thompson. I am his daughter. The receptionist checked her computer. I am sorry, we do not have any patient by that name. What? But someone just called me. County General. They said he had a heart attack. Let me check admissions. She typed for a moment. No, Brian Thompson has been admitted today. Are you sure it was this hospital? Reality crashed down on me. It was fake. Excuse me? Never mind. Thank you. I walked back through the automatic doors, my legs unsteady, and there they were. All three of them. My mother, father, and Amber. Standing by my car in the parking lot. Waiting. It was an ambush. My mother rushed toward me, tears streaming down her face. See? You do still care. You came running when you thought something was wrong. That proves you still love us. Now let's talk about you coming home. I stood frozen, looking at the three of them. My father looked tired but healthy. Amber had her arms crossed, glaring at me like I had personally wronged her. My mother was crying those manipulative tears I had seen 1,000 times. You faked a medical emergency, I said, my voice flat. We had to get your attention somehow. My mother reached for me. You would not answer our calls. You blocked us. We are desperate, Hattie. So you made me think my father was dying. We needed to talk to you, Amber shrieked. You cannot just abandon your family. I left because you have been using me as a personal ATM for 3 years. We gave you a home. My father finally spoke. You lived there rent-free. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I showed him the screen. I gave you $47,300 over 3 years. I paid more than rent. I paid for everything. He looked at the numbers and his face went pale. I have a spreadsheet, I continued. Every payment, every contribution, every time you asked for money, and I said yes. Do you want to see it? My mother grabbed my arm. But we need you, Hattie. Amber needs you. We cannot afford the house without your help. We are drowning. I pulled my arm away. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you treated me like a servant instead of a daughter. You are being so selfish. Amber stepped closer. We are family. Family takes care of each other. Family respects each other. Family does not exploit each other. You ruined my 25th birthday and expected me to apologize. You maxed out credit cards I paid off. You have never worked a single day in your adult life while I worked 60-hour weeks. Do not talk to me about family. If you will not come back, fine, Amber's voice turned venomous. But I will make sure you regret this. I will ruin your life like you ruined ours. I did not ruin anything. You are facing the consequences of your own choices. I got in my car and locked the doors. They surrounded the vehicle, banging on the windows, shouting at me. My mother was sobbing. My father was yelling. Amber was screaming profanities. I started the engine and slowly pulled forward. They had to move or get hit. They moved. I drove away, watching them in my rearview mirror. 3 people who were supposed to love me, who I had given everything to, standing in a hospital parking lot after faking an emergency to manipulate me. I drove home with tears streaming down my face. Not sad tears, angry tears, relieved tears. I was done. I was completely done. But when I got home and unlocked my apartment door, I knew immediately something was wrong. The door was ajar, just slightly. I had locked it this morning. I pushed it open carefully. My apartment had been destroyed. Furniture overturned. clothes thrown everywhere. My laptop smashed on the floor, pictures ripped off the walls, my dishes broken in the kitchen sink, and on my bathroom mirror, written in red lipstick, "Come home or it gets worse." I stood in the doorway of my destroyed home and called 911. The police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers walked through my apartment, taking photos, documenting the damage. "Do you know who did this?" Officer Chen asked. "My sister and her friends." I showed them my phone. "My family has been harassing me since I moved out. I have been documenting everything. I just filed for a restraining order 2 days ago. The hearing is next week." "Do you have any proof it was them?" "Check your building security cameras," the other officer said. "Most complexes have them." The building manager pulled the footage. There it was, clear as day. Amber and 2 of her friends entering the building at 3:15 that afternoon, going to my floor, using a key to enter my apartment. Leaving an hour later, laughing. A key! Amber must have made a copy before I moved out, during one of the times she visited me at the old house. The officers watched the footage and made notes. "We will issue an arrest warrant for breaking and entering, vandalism, and criminal threats. The footage is clear evidence. How long until she is arrested? We will pick her up tonight." I spent the next 3 hours cleaning my apartment, cataloging the damage, filing an insurance claim. My laptop was destroyed. My favorite coffee mug, the one my college roommate had given me, was shattered. My clothes had been cut with scissors. The violation felt worse than the financial cost. They had been in my space, touched my things, destroyed the one place that was supposed to be safe. I called Patricia and told her what happened. This helps our restraining order case significantly. Breaking and entering, vandalism, and criminal threats. The judge will absolutely grant the order now. Will she go to jail? Depends on her record and the judge. But yes, she will be arrested and charged. At 11:30 that night, Jessica texted me. "The police just arrested Amber at your parents' house. Your mom is losing it." I felt no guilt, no remorse, just tired relief. The next morning, I learned that Amber had been charged with 3 crimes: breaking and entering, vandalism, and making criminal threats. Bail was set at $5,000. My father had to drain what was left of their savings to post it. The restraining order hearing was expedited to 3 days later, given the severity of the break-in. I sat in the courtroom with Patricia while the judge reviewed the evidence. My parents and Amber sat on the other side with their lawyer, a public defender who looked overwhelmed. The judge looked at the security footage, read the police reports, reviewed the hospital fake-out incident, the false stolen car report, the attempts to sabotage my employment. "This is one of the clearest cases of harassment I have seen," the judge said. "Restraining order granted. The defendants are prohibited from contacting Hattie Thompson directly or indirectly. They cannot come within 500 feet of her residence or workplace. Violation of this order will result in immediate arrest." My mother started crying. My father looked shell-shocked. Amber glared at me with pure hatred. I felt nothing but relief. Over the next few weeks, I learned through Jessica about the continuing collapse of my family. My mother had a panic attack severe enough to land her in the emergency room. The stress of everything had caused her blood pressure to spike dangerously high. She was put on medication and ordered to reduce stress. My father's job performance tanked. He started showing up late, missing deadlines, snapping at colleagues. His boss put him on probation. Amber was facing potential jail time. Her lawyer said if convicted, she might serve 6 months in county jail. Their financial situation went from bad to catastrophic. Without my contributions and with legal fees piling up, they could not make ends meet. The GoFundMe Amber had created to crowdsource money, claiming I had abandoned them, got reported and taken down. Someone who knew the real story had exposed it as fraudulent. They had to refund the $800 they had raised. Extended family members started reaching out to me. Aunts, uncles, cousins, they all had the same questions. "What happened? Why did you leave? Your parents are saying terrible things about you." I told them the truth. I showed them the evidence, the bank statements, the text messages, the emails, the pattern of financial exploitation and emotional manipulation. Opinion shifted. My grandmother, my mother's own mother, called me. Hattie, I had no idea. Your mother told me you left without warning over some silly argument. She did not mention the money. She did not mention what they had been doing to you. She is very good at controlling the narrative. I am so sorry, sweetheart. I wish I had known sooner. You did the right thing leaving. More family members called. Most were supportive. Some were shocked. A few still believed my parents' version, but the majority saw the truth. My social circle expanded beyond my 3 loyal friends. Extended family invited me to gatherings. I reconnected with old college friends. I started dating casually, nothing serious, just remembering what it felt like to have time for myself. My apartment was repaired. I bought a new laptop. I changed my locks and installed a Ring doorbell camera. I felt safe again. But my family was not done. 3 weeks after the restraining order, I got a call from my landlord again. Hattie, someone called the city and filed a complaint, saying you are running an illegal business out of your apartment, disturbing neighbors, and violating zoning laws. That is not true. I work from home sometimes, but it is just regular remote work. I know. The inspector came out and found nothing, but someone is targeting you. I documented it. Another violation of the spirit of the restraining order, even if they had not contacted me directly. Then my boss called me at home on a Saturday morning. Hattie, I need to make you aware of something. Someone filed an anonymous complaint with our HR department claiming you have been falsifying expense reports and stealing from company accounts. My stomach dropped. That is completely false. I know. We investigated immediately. Your records are spotless, but someone is trying to get you fired. It is my family. I am so sorry this is affecting the company. We are documenting all of this. If they contact us again, we will pursue legal action against them for harassment. The siege continued. Small attacks, carefully designed to stay just on the edge of violating the restraining order. Anonymous complaints, fake reports. Attempts to undermine my stability without directly contacting me. Through a lawyer, my parents sent a settlement offer. If I dropped the restraining order and agreed not to testify against Amber in her criminal trial, they would leave me alone forever. Patricia advised against it. They will just come back later. They always do. But I was exhausted. The constant attacks were wearing me down. I could not sleep. I was anxious all the time, jumping at shadows, waiting for the next assault. Maybe accepting the settlement would end it. Maybe I could finally have peace. Then a package arrived at my workplace. Inside was a photo album from my childhood. Pictures of birthdays, holidays, family vacations. A handwritten letter from my mother fell out. I read it sitting at my desk. Hattie, I know we have made mistakes, but you only get one family. Do not you remember the good times? Do not throw away 25 years over money. Amber is sick. She needs help, not jail time. She has mental health issues that make her act out. We should have gotten her more help years ago. But she is your sister. She loves you. We all love you. Please be the bigger person. Come home and let us heal together as a family. We need you. Please. I looked at the photos. 6-year-old me at a birthday party, blowing out candles while my parents smiled. 10-year-old me at the beach, building sandcastles with baby Amber. 15-year-old me at my high school plays, my mother holding flowers. There had been good times. There had been love, once. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe I should give them another chance. Maybe family was worth fighting for, even when it hurt. I sat there, holding the photo album, reconsidering everything. My phone rang. My bank. Miss Thompson? This is fraud prevention at First National. We need to verify some unusual activity on your account. What kind of activity? Someone attempted to initiate 3 wire transfers totaling $43,000. We flagged them as suspicious and blocked the transactions. Do you know anything about these transfers? No. I did not authorize any transfers. We traced the attempt. Someone used stolen personal information to access your account online and set up the wire transfers. We have the IP address. Would you like us to report this to law enforcement? Yes. What was the IP address? She read it off. I wrote it down and then looked it up. It traced back to my parents' home address. While my mother was writing letters about healing as a family, my father was attempting to steal everything I had left. The photo album slipped from my hands and fell to the floor. I had almost fallen for it, almost believed them, almost given them another chance. But they would never change. This was not about love or family or healing. This was about money and control. It had always been about money and control. The guilt that had been eating at me evaporated. The doubt disappeared. I called Patricia immediately. They just tried to steal $43,000 from me using wire fraud. That is a federal crime. I know. I want to press charges against both of my parents. For everything. Are you sure? This will get very ugly. I looked at the scattered photos on the floor. The smiling child I had been. The family I had wanted to believe in. I am sure. I was done being the victim. I was done being manipulated. I was done giving them chances they did not deserve. It was time to end this. For good. The bank filed a fraud report immediately. The FBI got involved because wire fraud is a federal offense. My father's attempt to steal $43,000 had triggered a criminal investigation. Patricia filed additional criminal complaints on my behalf. Harassment, stalking, multiple violations of the restraining order through indirect contact. She compiled everything, every fake report, every anonymous complaint, every attempt to sabotage my life. The evidence was overwhelming. Amber's trial for the break-in came first. I had to testify. Walking into that courtroom and seeing my entire family glaring at me from the defendant's table felt surreal. I took the stand and told the truth. About the break-in, the destruction. The threatening message on my mirror. I identified Amber in the security footage. Her lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, claimed I had provoked her, suggested family disputes should be handled privately. Patricia destroyed that argument. She showed the judge the pattern of behavior, the financial exploitation, the harassment, the escalation. The judge was not sympathetic to Amber. You are 22 years old. You broke into someone's home and destroyed their property. The fact that she is your sister makes it worse, not better. Family should be a source of support, not terror. Amber was convicted. Sentenced to 6 months in county jail followed by 3 years of probation. She would also have to pay restitution for the damages. My mother collapsed in the courtroom, sobbing. My father sat stone-faced. I felt nothing. The federal case against my father took longer. Wire fraud is serious. His lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. The prosecutor offered, plead guilty, avoid federal prison, get probation, and restitution. If he took it to trial and lost, he faced up to 5 years in federal prison. My father took the plea deal, guilty to attempted wire fraud. 2 years of probation. He had to pay back the full $43,000 he tried to steal, even though the bank had stopped the transfers. My mother was charged as an accomplice. She had provided my personal information to help him access my account. She also took a plea deal. 1 year of probation. Both of them now had criminal records. The civil case I filed for restitution of my contributions took months to work through the system. Patricia argued that I had been financially exploited. That my parents had accepted over $47,000 in contributions while providing no formal rental agreement, no ownership stake, nothing in return. The judge agreed but tempered the award. Miss Thompson did live in their home, which has some value. However, her contributions far exceeded reasonable rent. I am awarding her $32,000 in restitution. My parents had to pay me $32,000. They did not have it. They had to take out a loan against their house. The house they could no longer afford. 3 months after all the legal cases concluded, I heard through Jessica that my parents were going through foreclosure. Without my contributions, without their savings, depleted by legal fees and bail, without the ability to take on more debt, they could not keep up with the mortgage payments. The bank seized the house. My parents and Amber, recently released from jail, moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment in the worst part of town. All 3 of them crammed into a space smaller than my studio. Amber was required to get a job as a condition of her probation. She worked at a fast food restaurant, the first real job she had ever kept for more than a week. My father's probation requirements included regular check-ins with a probation officer and random drug tests, as if he were a common criminal. My mother lost most of her friends. The gossip about what they had done to me spread through their social circles. Nobody wanted to associate with people who financially abused their daughter. Extended family cut them off completely. My grandmother stopped speaking to my mother. Aunts and uncles took my side publicly. Their perfect suburban life, built partially on my labor and money, collapsed completely. And I watched it all happen from my safe apartment across town. I did not feel guilty anymore. I felt vindicated. 6 months after I left, I was thriving. I got a promotion at work, senior project coordinator to project manager, a $20,000 raise. My boss told me I had earned it through my excellent work and my grace under pressure during my personal crisis. I moved out of the studio apartment into a small one-bedroom townhouse. Nothing fancy, but it had a yard and a second bedroom I turned into a home office. I started dating someone I met through work. His name was Connor. He was kind, respectful, and had healthy boundaries with his own family. We took things slow, but it felt right. I reconnected with my 3 close friends and made several new ones. My social calendar filled up with brunches, movie nights, weekend trips. I started a blog called Breaking Free: Financial Abuse in Families. I wrote about my experience, using fake names for privacy. The blog gained a following. Other people shared their own stories. I realized I was not alone, and my words were helping others find the courage to leave toxic family situations. I went to therapy regularly. I processed the trauma. I learned to set boundaries. I worked on rebuilding my sense of self-worth. For the first time in years, I was genuinely happy. Then, 7 months after I moved out, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. I was in the produce section, picking out apples, when I heard her voice. "Hatia." I turned. My mother stood 3 feet away, holding an almost empty basket. She looked older, thinner. Her hair had more gray. Her face was lined with new wrinkles. We stared at each other for a long moment. "How are you?" she asked quietly. "I am well." "You look good." "Healthy." "Thank you." She looked at her basket. "We are struggling. The apartment is so small. Your father's probation is difficult. Amber hates her job. We barely have enough money for groceries." I said nothing. I wanted to say. She paused, eyes filling with tears. I wanted to say I am sorry. For everything. I see it now. What we did to you. How we used you. How we took advantage. I did not realize it at the time. I thought we were just being a family. But we were not. We were hurting you. And I am sorry. I studied her face, looking for manipulation, looking for the angle. But all I saw was exhaustion and regret. "I know it is too late," she continued. "I know you will never forgive us, and I do not blame you. But I needed you to know that I am sorry, that I see what we did, that if I could go back and change things, I would." "You are right," I said. "It is too late." Her face crumpled. "You had a daughter who would have done anything for you, who loved you unconditionally, who gave you everything she had, not because you demanded it, but because she wanted to help. And you exploited that. You taught Amber that she did not have to work for anything because someone else would always clean up her messes. You prioritized her tantrums over my achievements. You chose her comfort over my well-being at every single turn." My mother wiped her eyes. "I know. I ruined my birthday dinner by getting covered in cake my sister threw. And you made me the one who needed to apologize." That moment, standing in that restaurant, was when I realized you would never change. You would never see me as anything other than a resource to exploit. You are right. You are absolutely right. I hope you have learned something from all of this. I hope Amber has learned something. I hope my father has learned something. But that is not my responsibility anymore. You are not my responsibility anymore. I understand. Goodbye, Mom. I walked away with my cart, leaving her standing alone in the produce section. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I felt no regret. I paid for my groceries and drove home to my townhouse, where Connor was waiting to help me cook dinner. Where my space was peaceful and mine. Where nobody demanded anything of me except basic human respect. That night, I lay in bed and thought about the past 7 months. Everything I had endured. Everything I had overcome. everything I had built. I was free. Truly, completely free. And I had never been happier. 1 year after I moved out, my life looked nothing like it had before. I sat in my small townhouse on a Saturday morning, sipping coffee and scrolling through my blog. Breaking Free. Financial Abuse in Families now had over 15,000 followers. People from all over the country shared their stories in the comments. Many had left toxic family situations after reading about my experience. A woman named Rachel from Texas wrote, "I am 32 years old and still living with my parents who treat me like a live-in maid and ATM. Your story gave me the courage to start planning my escape. Thank you." Another comment from someone named David, "I am a man, but the same thing happened to me with my family. Nobody talks about sons being financially exploited. Your blog made me realize I am not alone." My words were helping people. My pain had a purpose. My phone buzzed. A text from Connor. "Still on for dinner tonight? My parents want to meet you." Meeting the parents. A big step. But with Connor, everything felt easy, natural. He respected my boundaries. He never pushed. He listened when I talked about my family trauma, without trying to fix it or minimize it. I texted back. Looking forward to it. I got ready for the day. I had plans with Jessica, Lauren, and Emma. Brunch at our favorite cafe, then shopping, then maybe a movie, a normal Saturday with friends. Something I never had time for when I was trapped in my old life. At brunch, Lauren raised her mimosa, a toast to Hattie, 1 year of freedom, 1 year of living her actual life. We clinked glasses. Emma asked, "Any regrets?" "Not a single one." "Have you heard anything about your family lately?" Jessica asked carefully. I had told them to stop giving me updates months ago. I did not want to know, but Jessica could not help herself. "A little, through the gossip mill, not from direct contact." And Amber finished her probation early. Good behavior. She is still working at the fast food place. Apparently, she has been there for 10 months now, longest she has ever held a job. That is something, I guess. "Your dad paid off the restitution money last month. Took him a year, but he did it. $32,000. Money that was rightfully mine. Money I had earned and contributed, and never thought I would see again. And your mom joined some kind of support group for parents of estranged adult children. She is actually trying to understand where she went wrong." I felt nothing about this information. No vindication, no satisfaction, just neutral acceptance that they were living their lives and I was living mine. "Good for them," I said. "I hope they learned something, but it is not my concern anymore." We moved on to other topics. Lauren's new relationship, Emma's promotion, Jessica's upcoming vacation. Normal friend conversations about normal life things. After brunch, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Hattie Thompson?" "Yes?" "This is Sarah Chen from Riverside Publishing. We came across your blog about financial family abuse. We would like to talk to you about potentially turning it into a book." My heart stopped. "A book? Your story is compelling and clearly resonates with a lot of people. We think there is a market for a memoir about breaking free from toxic family dynamics, especially the financial exploitation angle. Not many people talk about that openly." We scheduled a meeting for the following week. A book. My story, helping even more people. Validation that what I went through mattered. That evening, I met Connor's parents. They were warm, welcoming, and respectful. His mother hugged me gently and said, "Connor has told us so much about you. We are so glad to finally meet you." His father asked about my work, my interests, my goals, normal parent questions. Not once did they ask me to do anything for them or expect anything from me, except basic politeness. Over dinner, I watched Connor interact with his family. Healthy teasing, genuine affection, mutual respect. This is what family was supposed to look like. After dinner, Connor's mother pulled me aside. "I know you have been through a difficult time with your own family. I want you to know that you are always welcome here. No pressure, no expectations. Just an open door, if you ever need it." I teared up. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The legal cases were all settled now. Amber had finished her jail time and probation. My parents had paid the restitution. The restraining order was permanent unless I chose to lift it, which I never would. Through my lawyer, I learned that Amber had actually been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder during her mandatory therapy sessions as part of her probation. She was on medication and in treatment. Apparently, she had apologized to her therapist for her behavior toward me, though she had never apologized to me directly. My father had completed his probation successfully. No violations. He had kept his job, barely, and was slowly rebuilding his reputation. My mother attended her support group religiously. She had apparently stood up in one meeting and talked about how she had enabled her younger daughter at the expense of her older daughter. How she had prioritized keeping the peace over doing what was right. How she had lost one daughter completely because of her choices. I heard all this through the grapevine. I did not reach out. I did not soften. Their growth was not my responsibility to nurture or celebrate. My grandmother called me occasionally. We had lunch once a month. She apologized repeatedly for not seeing what was happening sooner. She told me she was proud of me for having the strength to leave. "Your mother asks about you sometimes," grandmother said at one of our lunches. "She wonders how you are doing. If you are happy, you can tell her I am very happy. She knows better than to ask me to pass along messages. But I think she hopes that someday you might forgive her. Maybe someday I will. But that someday is not today. And it might not be ever. And I am okay with that." Grandmother nodded. "That is fair. Forgiveness is not required, no matter what anyone says. You do not owe them anything, including absolution." 3 months after the book deal, I finished writing my manuscript. It was not just my story, it was a guide. How to recognize financial abuse in families. How to plan an escape. How to protect yourself legally. How to rebuild after leaving. Resources for therapy, legal aid, support groups. The book was titled The Exit Strategy: Breaking Free from Family Financial Abuse. It would publish in 6 months. My life continued to improve in every way. I got another promotion at work. Connor and I moved in together after a year of dating. Not rushed, not pressured. Just a natural next step in a healthy relationship. I started volunteering with a nonprofit that helped young adults escape abusive family situations. I provided mentorship and guidance. I helped others plan their exits safely. One of the young women I mentored, a 23-year-old named Claire, sent me a message 6 months after she moved out. "I did it. I left. I have my own apartment. I am free. Thank you for showing me it was possible." These messages made everything I went through worth it. 2 years after I left, I hosted Thanksgiving at my house. Connor's family came. Jessica, Lauren, and Emma came. My grandmother came. A few cousins who had supported me came. We filled my small dining room with laughter and food and genuine love. This was my chosen family. People who loved me for me. People who celebrated my successes instead of resenting them. People who respected my boundaries and valued my presence. As I stood in my kitchen, basting the turkey I had cooked myself, I thought about the woman I used to be. The one who sat at a restaurant covered in cake, watching her family prioritize her sister's tantrum over her milestone birthday. That woman had been broken, depleted, used up. This woman was whole, strong, free. I would not change anything I went through, because it led me here, to this life, to these people, to this version of myself who knew her worth and refused to accept less than she deserved. The doorbell rang. More guests arriving. Connor answered it while I finished the gravy. I heard laughter from the living room. Conversation, connection, joy. This was what life was supposed to feel like. And I had built it myself, from nothing, with no help from the people who should have supported me but chose to exploit me instead. My book came out 6 months later. It became a bestseller. I did interviews on podcasts and local news. I spoke at conferences about family estrangement and financial abuse. People asked if my family had read it. I did not know. I did not care. People asked if I would ever reconcile with them. I said the same thing every time. Reconciliation requires genuine change and accountability. If that happens someday, maybe, but I am not holding my breath, and my happiness does not depend on it. 3 years after I left, I bought a house. A real house, with 3 bedrooms and a yard and a garage. Connor and I got married in the backyard, surrounded by the people who actually loved us. My parents were not invited. Amber was not invited. My grandmother came. My extended family who had supported me came. Connor's family came. My friends came. We danced under string lights. We ate cake that nobody threw. We celebrated love without drama or tantrums or manipulation. It was perfect. As I danced with Connor, I looked around at all the smiling faces. These were my people. This was my life. Built from scratch after escaping toxicity. And I had never been happier. The life lesson I learned through all of this is simple but powerful. Family is not defined by blood or obligation. Real family is built on mutual respect, genuine love, and healthy boundaries. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who refuse to see your worth. Loyalty does not mean accepting abuse. Love does not mean sacrificing yourself until there is nothing left. You are never selfish for protecting yourself from people who would destroy you to serve themselves. The best revenge is not fire or fury. It is building a beautiful life they will never be part of. It is thriving without them. It is knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less. I will never regret leaving. I will never regret choosing myself. I will never regret drawing boundaries and enforcing them ruthlessly. Because on the other side of that choice was freedom, peace, joy, a real life, lived on my terms, filled with people who actually love me. And that is worth more than any toxic family tie could ever be. If you are in a situation like mine, please know, you deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve love that lifts you up instead of dragging you down. And you have the strength to leave, even when it feels impossible. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of that door. All you have to do is walk through it. I did, and I have never looked back. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut ties with toxic family members? How did you find the courage to leave? What advice would you give to someone considering making that difficult choice? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more stories about overcoming adversity and finding strength in difficult situations. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. Your share might be the encouragement they need to finally choose themselves. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some validation, or some inspiration. Remember, you are stronger than you think, you deserve to be happy, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Take care of yourselves out there. You are worth it.